about that word, just in general, when people class it and they say this person's got a disability? Are you comfortable with that word? Or is there a lot of stigma around it in terms of negative connotation?
I'm fine with it because it's all to do with how you're brought up. If you're brought up mollycoddled, that your parents and everybody's doing everything for you, you will think, oh, but with me, I wasn't brought up mollycoddled. I was brought up to not think of, yeah, I have a disability, but because I hung around with, in mainstream school, it was all my friends were sighted and those different things. I knew I had a disability, but I just saw myself as just being one of them. I didn't see myself as, oh, I have a disability, why should I? So I don't attach negativity with it. It's something I have, I can't change it for anybody. As much as I'd like to, I can't do it. So growing up, I quite liked it. I grew up and I went to mainstream school, then specialist education, because it taught me a lot about society and how society works and how the world really works. And then when I turned 16, I went to a specialist college for people that had visual impairment. And I was just like, no, all of you are being mollycoddled and those different things. And I was like, no, that's not the way. Because some of them ended up mentally ill because the teachers were going out there going, when you leave here, you will have a better life. Everyone would love you. You will just get a job like that. And I was like, what planet you lot on? You guys, if you guys are willing to listen to that, fair enough. But I said I went mainstream school, so the world ain't like that. It's a tough place out there. And if you can't cope with it, you won't survive.
And how is life like for you in general in terms of getting jobs and work and the way society handles disabled people? Do you think we've got a long way to go?
I think we have a long way to go because I've applied for lots of jobs. I have the capability of doing the job, but they don't give it to me. They say, oh, you're the best candidate for the job, but they still don't give it to me. Or they say, oh, this job's only specifically for visually impaired people to apply for. And I go do the interview, then when the person that gets the job, they're fully sighted. And I was like, wait, but you said this interview was just specifically for visually impaired people.
Do you not like it if people feel sorry for you? Do you think people, when they meet someone who's visually impaired or they've got a disability, they're in a wheelchair or something like that, they automatically say, oh, come to the front, or you go in front of me, or they feel sorry?
They feel sorry, and I'm like, no, I can stand and queue up as normal. There's nothing wrong with me standing and queuing up as normal. If I'm ill, or if I go out and I'm ill, then I'll say, okay, yeah. But I don't mind queuing up or standing because I was brought up the way to how sighted people were. I was rollerblading, roller skating, riding a bike, even though I have a visual impairment. I only ride a bike when my brother was around. So I grew up doing all these different things. And I don't like when, because you have a visual impairment, they go, hi, how are you doing? Are you okay? I'm like, no, we're human beings. You can still talk to us as if we're like you.
But why do you think people do that? Why do you think
people
have that
reaction? They think you're stupid. They think oh, they have a disability, so they're not really that clued up. But we are quite clued up because we have other, say, one of our senses isn't working, our other senses are more heightened. So, and I studied at Kanduko Dance Company. I did a year training with them, doing a foundation course in dance with them. And they taught me, even though it was for visually impaired people, they taught me, if I was to teach dance, how to adapt it for someone, if a wheelchair person came along to my class, how to adapt it, or if somebody only could use their hands, how to adapt the class for them, which taught me, which a lot of people haven't really been taught that, how to adapt and make it accessible for all. Because some people with a disability look at some people that are sighted, oh no, you're the one with the disability. It's not us, nothing wrong with us, this is how we are.
And growing up, what was probably one of of the worst experiences, and how did you overcome that situation?
It was more getting bullied. It was more getting bullied as a child by other children.
Is there one specific incident that sticks in your mind?
It was more during, because I'm in mainstream schools, primary and secondary, it was more those times that when you get called four eyes or you get called a blind bitch.
And how did you deal with those situations?
Well, at the time I always used to cry and go crying to my brother who I went to school with, because we're a year apart in age. And he's like, you have to stand up for yourself. So we used to practice, we used to look at WWF wrestling. We used to try the moves out on each other, pick each other up and throw each other across the room and throw each other down the stairs. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is a good tool, because now I've grown up, I could actually say like, you can say what you want, you know, because I know who I am. I don't have to declare myself to you. I know who I am. If you don't know yourself, that's you. But I know how I am. I know how I've been brought up. I know the difficulties I've had to go through life and even going through now. So you can't really say to me, you know me, because a lot of people say, I know what you're going through, and I'm like, but you can't say as a sighted person, you know what I'm going through if you're not in my shoes. Because I've helped a lot of visually, some people that are fully sighted that lost their sight, I've helped them become independent because they've never been in this world. And some of the people don't even know who they could turn to or what organizations they can go to for help.
And do just as well.
Like what I say, and I say to a lot of my friends, like, especially if they've lost their sight and then they come across me, because they're like, you're so independent. But I said, it's not about being independent. It's about your life can still go on. It's about going out there, making friends. If you feel you need to make friends in the same circle as you, if you're in a wheelchair, or if you've lost a limb, or if you're visually impaired, or if you have dyslexia, or your autism, it's about going out there and meddling and talking to people. That's how you get over losing part of your limb or your eyesight or whatever, because it's about intermingling and talking to people and making new friends. Because if you just keep yourself to yourself, you'd think, oh, I can't go on, I was like this. You'd always think of the past in a negative way. Why did this happen to me? It probably happened for a reason. Yeah, like I believe things happen for a reason, okay? But you have to embrace what's happened to you and go forward with it, then look back at the negative things that's happened. Why did this happen to me? Why me? Oh, what did I do wrong? Sometimes you haven't done anything wrong. It just happens. I didn't want to be born with a visual impairment, but I was born with it. I can't do anything about it.
So how would you say to people that have a disability and they actually aren't accepting it and they're always trying to fight it and they're angry, how would you tell them in terms of their mentality and how they should be?
You should look at life in a positive way. You will get the obnoxious ones who will say, oh, you're lying about you have a disability, or you just want government money. But there are people out there who are willing to help, yeah, and who are willing to embrace you for having your disability, okay? But if you go forward looking at everything negative, you'll only attract the negative people around you who will be like, oh, yeah, whatever, yeah. But if you go forward looking at it positively, all the people with positive attitude, positive way of thinking will come around and they will support you and they will help you to achieve what you need to achieve.
And is there anything that you find offensive in terms of how people should be, or do you think people are a bit not clued up, or in terms of just general interaction day to day?
They're just not clued up. I think some people probably just don't use their common sense, or they're just not clued up, or they're just ignorant. Because there are some people that are just ignorant. But that's why I say The world is a funny place. Everybody's different. You're going to encounter different people. You can't just go into a shop and because somebody be awkward to you, oh, I'm not going back because I have a disability. That person could have been in a bad mood that day. I will go back and I will say, okay, let me try again. But I just look at life like, if you let things keep you back, you will never progress forward. You have to look at everything in a positive way of life. Because if you just look at everything negative, oh, I have all these conditions, why should I do this, why should I do that? Like I know some visually impaired people do. I'm like, you won't achieve what you really want, what you came on this planet to achieve.